What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to be showing you yet another section of the development of a pair of trousers. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make side pockets, the type that you normally spot on the sides of jumpsuit, trousers, even jeans. So if you guys would like to see how to make this sort of pattern as well as test it to see if it actually works, then keep on watching. In the future, I do plan to show how to add a fly and a waistband. This is an area of sort of pattern making that it's not like I don't know, but I don't do frequent enough to have reached that state of perfection. So I like to take my time when I do these kind of things. And I thank you guys so much for your understanding. I thank you for your love. I thank you for your continuous support and suggestions. And yes, if you'd like to see how to make this pocket design, then keep on watching. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the tools to you guys which I'll be working with. I have them laid out here. I have my roll of pattern paper because I'm going to be changing up the trouser pattern I already have. I have this trouser front and back, which I'm going to be linking down below. I have my rulers, tape, scissors, pen, and all the other essentials. So the first thing I want to do is to duplicate my trouser pattern because I'm going to be making some changes and I'm going to be adapting the front a little bit to fit the pocket design. So the one on top is the new pattern and the one under is the old one. So this is what the front looks like, and I made it narrower by 2 centimeters starting from around the hip. So I wanted the trouser to be a little bit more fitted and just see if it would fit my body better. So I did this for the front and I did this for the back, and I hope it works, fingers crossed. So this is the new front and back. As you can see, the back is obviously bigger to accommodate your bum and the waist is a little bit higher on the center back. So I did try to follow my body measurements, my thighs, knees, ankle, hips a bit more strictly for this pattern here. So now I'm going to go ahead and plan the shape for my front pocket. So in jeans you normally would have like rounded pockets, but for this tutorial I'm just going to do the straight one. And the first thing I'm going to do here is mark 3.5 inches from the side seam and then mark 6 inches, as you can see here, down the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect those 2 points to make the opening for the pocket. So I'm just going in here to draw a line all the way to the edge of the pattern, so there's actually a seam when it's time to sew that part in. And then I'm going to connect edge to edge like I'm doing here with my ruler and a marker pen. With freehand, I'm going to roughly draw the shape of the pocket bag. I like to stop my pocket bag somewhere around the hip and not go beyond, else it just creates bulk around that part of your body. And as you can see, mine stopped 1 centimeter before the hip, and I drew it in from the middle of the dot line around this curve here and above 1 centimeter above the hip. So I'm just going in to add a notch around the curve and around the opening, because what we're going to do is we're going to trace out the pocket facing and the pocket bag. So the area marked in red is going to become the facing, and the whole area including the part we're going to be cutting off on the side is going to become the pocket bag. So I'm just going in with fresh pattern paper and I'm going to trace around that line. So the straight one which passes through the middle of the dart, the curved one at the bottom, as well as the side seam. So it's not really strict that yours has to start from the middle of the dart. I just put mine there because that line was straight and convenient to work with. And as you can see here, I've traced out the facing. So the facing is the one that has this slant line on the side and has the curved bottom. I don't know why I wrote pocket bag here, sorry, it's the pocket facing. And then it has the seam around the waist and around the side. And then you have to go ahead and add a 1 centimeter seam allowance all around the curved end, because you're going to be joining this facing onto the pocket bag around that curved end. So you want to ensure that this corner is sort of straight because you want it to sit nicely into the front of the trouser, as well as just, relax nicely on the body. So next up, I'm going to go in and trace of the pocket back, which is that whole entire side. So that includes the actual waist, the side seam as well as a curve. And the reason why the pocket bag is full is because this is what is going to be underneath the facing to cover up that opening that you would cut off the front panel of the trouser. So yet again, I'm going in and I'm adding a 1 centimeter seam allowance all the way around the curve, but you don't need to add an additional 1 centimeter to the waist and the sides because it already has it. So I also transferred my notches because this is going to help me when it's time to stitch that curved end of the pocket bag to the curved end of the facing. So you would need to cut 2 pocket bags, one for each side of the trouser leg, as well as the same thing for the facing. So in here, I'm just going in to cut off the facing, cut off the pocket bag, and just place it on the actual front of the trouser. So as you can see, this whole thing is coming together slowly, and I'm going to go ahead and add a 1 centimeter seam allowance to the actual trouser, because the way this part works is you need to stitch the facing to that side of the trouser and then put that facing inside before adding the pocket bag. So once I've added that 1 centimeter seam allowance, I'm just going in to refine my dashed lines, and we're going to add that 1 cm corner that we added on for the facing. So once that is done, and that means that part can be stitched onto the facing, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess. So this is the reason why the pocket bag is important, because if you've cut off this part and the pocket bag is not full around that side of the waist, you're going to have an opening on that part of the front trouser. So now let me just lay everything out and see if they all work together and if I am happy with them. As you can see, the pocket bag goes underneath, the facing is in between, and the actual trouser leg is in front. So these are all the panels cut out. So you have the pocket bag, you need 2, you have the facing, you need 2, and you have the front trouser leg, you need 2. So you could make your shape curved, you could make yours any sort of unique design you want, but just know that whatever shape you cut on the trouser front pattern, you need to cut on the facing as well, because you have to stitch them together and then tuck that facing inside to have a smooth finished end on your pocket edge. Now to the moment of truth. I'm going to go ahead and test the pattern. So I've gotten myself some calico, I've pinned down my pattern, and I'm going to cut them out. So I've already cut out my front and back trouser leg, I've cut out the edge of the pocket, I have stitched the dart, and I have stitched up the inner leg because the focus in this video is the pocket. I just wanted to do all those things and get them out of the way, but I made sure I left the side seam open because we need that open to be able to fix the pocket in. So now that everything is nicely laid down and flat, I'm going to go ahead and bring out my pocket facing and my pocket bag, and I'm going to grab my facing and lay it right sides together. So I'm going to lay the right side of the facing to the right side of the front of the trouser, and as you can see, these edges match, so you want to ensure that. And I'm just going in to make sure that the notches are aligned, and I'm just adding some pins before going in with a chalk to mark that 1 centimeter edge. So 1 centimeter from the waist and 1 centimeter from the side seam to get the exact point where I want my stitch to stop. So I'm going to go ahead and take this to my domestic machine and sew on a 1 centimeter seam allowance. I'm just using the loosest stitch because this is just to test the pattern. So once I've done that, I'm going to turn the facing inside, and I'm going to stitch the seam allowance to the inside of the facing. So this is what it looks like right now. This is the wrong side of the trouser, and this is what the facing looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my pocket bag, and I'm going to pin it onto my facing, aligning the curved end together. So I've pinned together the end here, and I'm going to look for my notched points, and I'm going to hold that together with a pin before going ahead to pin up any other necessary points that I need, because when you're sewing curves together, you want to make sure that everything is already held in place before going onto the machine to sew. So I'm just sewing on a 1 centimeter seam allowance using a straight stitch, joining just the facing to the pocket bag. So just those two pieces, and this is what it would look like. So I'm just going to take a closer look at my pocket edge to see that I'm happy with it. I've used some pins to hold the pocket bag and the facing onto the waistline of the front, and this is what the pocket looks like inside. I'm happy with it, and I'm glad it actually came out nice, thank God. So the next step I'm going to do is I am going to lay the front panel flat. I've just used some pins to hold the edge of the pocket onto the side seam of the trouser, and I'm going to take my back panel and I'm going to pin the side seam of the back to the side seam of the front. So I'm just going in here to take off the pins from the pocket, and I'm going to use that pin to secure the front, back, as well as the pocket bag. And once I've pinned everything down in place, I'm going to sew on a 1 centimeter seam allowance all the way from the beginning to the end. I'm using a normal straight stitch. You can use a loose stitch if you're just testing out, but I'm just going in here nice and slowly, taking off my pins as I go. And yes, let's take a look to see if we actually like this. Alright, so I've put on the one leg of the trouser where I have stitched up the pocket, and I like the outcome. I actually really like it. It looks really nice and clean. You can't really see the full beauty until this part sits into the waistband of the trouser, and until there is like a fly or like the front is stitched up, then would really that would be the moment of truth. But as for the fit, it's a bit tighter, as you can see, around the hips, around the thighs, around the knee, and the ankle I didn't make too tight, so I'll be able to put on the trouser. But so far so good. What do you guys think? I think the next thing I would work on is the fly and then the waistband. I'm scared to do that fly, but I will give it a shot anyways. But I'm happy with the outcome of this pocket. I'm actually really happy. The size is great, the finish is nice, and I hope you guys would recreate it in your spare time. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I would love to know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions down below. I do know I've gotten a lot of requests from you guys asking me to show how to make a fly, which normally sits on the center front of jean trousers, pair of like tailored pants, jumpsuits, so on and so forth. I do plan on making that in the very near future, so please bear with me while I work on that project for you guys. If you'd like to see more pattern tutorials or sewing tutorials, then please give this video a thumbs up. And until my next video, keep being creative, innovative, and have a good morning, afternoon, and evening wherever you are. Bye.